Now this one is a good drill, it's a good exercise, it's a good challenge, it's a good assessment to see where you are with your handstand journey. It doesn't matter what level you're at, you can do this at any level, we can use the wall, we can just test them. We're just going to go through all the different handstand entries we can think of. So we have the standard one, placing the hands down on the floor, pick a focal point. I call this the hand balancer one. So we make everything static, a strong base first, we kick the hips and the legs on top. So we're going to call that the hand balancer kick up. And I would rate that a 10 out of 10 on importance. You should be training that one. Next we have the gymnastic kick up, very similar to the hand balancer one, but now we start in this position and then I'm going to step forwards into my handstand. So a little bit different. Now remember with the gymnastic version, they train it because they want to go in that direction. They want to create momentum and they're really focusing on a tight, hollow body position. I recommend you train both of those, but if you're thinking more about calisthenics, hand balancing, go into things like one-arm handstands eventually, press handstands, handstand push-ups, things like that, I would rate the first one more important than the second one. But again, it depends on your goals. But let's put that in. So gymnastic kick up, and I'll rate that a 9. Now remember, any of these you can do up against the wall as well. It doesn't have to be freestanding. So next we have the jumps. Let's go through tuck jump first. So hands, shoulders on top of hands, focal point, really drawing down to that base, making it super strong. Now I bend the knees, keep the shoulders on top of the hands, jump, pass through tuck into my handstand, come back down again. So tuck jump, super important, I'd rate that a 9. Then we have the other two. So we have straddle, exactly the same setup as the tuck, but I just pass through straddle, and then we have pike. So keeping the legs straight. I recommend everyone trains that straddle jump to handstand, but the pike is a little bit more advanced, a little bit more specific, so I wouldn't rate that so highly. So straddle jump I'm giving a 10 out of 10, pike jump I'll give an 8 out of 10. We then have those same three, but working from a kneeling position. Now this is a really cool drill, sends us straight up in the air. In some ways, some people find it easier than the standing version. Thumbs by the knees, same focal point. So looking straight down, shoulders directly on top of hands, and then I'm gonna jump up, pass through tuck, into the handstand, come back down the way I went. Do exactly the same thing, pass through straddle. Exactly the same thing, pass through pike. So kneeling jump to handstand. Now the kneeling jumps are super fun, they're really good to teach you to jump straight up, but I wouldn't say they're essential. So I'm going to score them 7 out of 10 for the tuck and the straddle, and then 6 for the pike. Then we have the press variations. So we have those three again, we have the straddle, we have the tuck, and we have the pike. So for the straddle, tuck and pike, I would rate them 9 out of 10. I think they're super important. And then we have the more advanced options, going from a straddle position. This is super hard, especially first thing in the morning when you haven't done a straddle warm-up, but let's see if I can get it. I'm not gonna guarantee, I'm not gonna drag the feet, but there's your shoulder press. Let's see if I can get back down. Just about. So shoulder press I'm going to rate 9 as well. Then we have the other two presses that are slightly harder from a straight arm strength point of view. So it's the L-sit version. So from here I need clearance like that, whoops, and then see if I can get back down. So the L-sit pike press, again 9 out of 10, and then the planche press. Now obviously the planche press you can do at different levels. I'm not going to go through all the different levels. I can only go to around a high hip straddle position. So let's see if I can get that. So pressing up like that. Now this isn't saying you should be training all of these individually. Some of them will come for free. You work on certain ones, it unlocks others without necessarily training them. You might just need a few repetitions to work out the technique, the body positioning, but you might have the strength and the flexibility already from working the other stuff. We can then keep the strength movements, but go bend time instead. So a nice easy one is frog or crow to handstand. So the difference is frog is a bit more like this. So knees on the outside, the elbows, crow's a little bit more up there, but the same thing. So I'm going to put them in the same bracket, crow, frog to handstand. Again, super important, like the presses, if you want to work your strength handstand, so bend time strength, so handstand push up, crow, frog to handstand, 9 out of 10. We can then go from a headstand position, so think of this as the bottom of the handstand push up to handstand, so headstand to handstand. Again, because it's part of a handstand push up, and we're going up to handstand, I'd count that as the handstand push up variation, so 9 out of 10, even a 10 out of 10 if you're working strength. Progression of that is to go to a deficit, so your shoulder stand position, up, push to your handstand. Okay, so we're at 17 now. The next ones I'm going to go from having to think a little bit more. So these are the ones that probably aren't as important from a training point of view, but are fun to work as well. So we have things like puppy press. So puppy press is setting up like the other press, but I'm going to walk around the outside, lift one leg up in the air, reach and push to the side, end up in straddle or straight handstand, come back down the way I went up. So puppy press. So that's a fun one to play with, especially if you are working press handstand. You've got good flexibility, but you might not have the strength to get up into your handstand yet. But I wouldn't say it's an essential movement, so I'm only going to score that 4 out of 10. Cartwheel to handstand, again, very similar. I don't laugh at my cartwheel. Now, you can go one way. If you are doing cartwheels, I'd recommend you try on the other side as well, which is way harder. But again, fun, so I've scored that a 4. Now next I've put the one-arm handstand press or kick up. Now this is super important if you're training one-arm handstands and you want to keep advancing it, but it's very pointy down the end of that handstand balance line of progression. So that's why I've only scored it a 6. I personally love it, it's good fun. Now I only train it or play with it on the good side because my left side just isn't good enough to hold or catch the position, but that's what we're looking for. So kicking or pressing to the one-arm handstand. Now I just done this list off the top of my head, so the most important ones I think are the higher numbers, the 10s, the 9s, the 8s. These are the ones I think you should be training if you want an all-round handstand practice. That's balance and strength. Remember, you can practice these or test these up against the wall. They don't have to be freestanding. Let me know down in the comments if I missed any out. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the ratings. Also, let me know any videos that you would like to see in the future. Let me know any updates you'd like to see on my app as well, or any feedback. If you are interested in the app, check out the link in the description, and I'll speak to you in the next one.